Welcome to the next episode of Sawdust Nation. Josh from North Country Woodworking, myself, AJ over at Crafted in New Jersey. You know, we're on episode 15. You realize that, right?
We're past my hands. I got to take off my shoes to count. Wait, I wear sandals.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about shop stuff. You know, what's going on in his shop, my shop, your shop, everybody's shop.
We're talking about their shops? That's going to be kind of weird.
I don't know.
We're just random calling people, cold calls?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we can cold call everybody who we know. I mean, isn't like Nick right down the road from you?
He is, but I don't know what time it is. Yeah, we could probably try.
You want to just like grab our mics and just go over to Nick's? I mean, it's going to take me a while to get over there.
It's going to take me a minute myself. It's like, I don't know, a couple miles away. But
it's all right.
You're running down the street with my computer and mic in hand. Look!
Hey, while you're running down the street, don't forget that Powermatic. Remember that. I want one too. So if we find another one, we're grabbing it.
Well, you see that Nick from NPGcreations, if we haven't said that before, he actually just got a 14-inch jet bandsaw.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. I thought when you said 14-inch and we were talking about the Powermatic, I'm like, he got a 14-inch joiner? Like, that thing's huge.
You wouldn't be able to fit that in our garages, man. I don't know. Like, we have the same garage, and like, yeah, you just won't be able to fit those. Oh,
you open up. Yeah.
Talking about Nick, okay, we're going down a rabbit hole in the very beginning, and I apologize. But X-Carve just came out with a pro version of their CNC machine.
Really? Is it larger?
It's a spindle. It's not the router, DeWalt router.
Wow.
And it has integrated dust collection. I haven't done much research. Ball bearings. What else? It has something with the bed can tilt, and actually the 4x4 could do a 4x8 job or something.
Wow.
Yeah, like
4 foot by 8 foot?
A 4 foot by 4 foot can carve a 4x8 piece of plywood.
Wow.
Now, I got to look it up and clarify that, but it was a quick read. He's going to actually look it up to make sure I'm just not making things up. But this is a pretty impressive machine from what they used to call a hobbyist CNC. They're getting pretty serious. The price also goes up with this, and it's like double for the 2x2, and then the 4x4. I'm not quite sure. I think it's close to, it's on sale, but listed at 5, and I think it will be going back up to 10 once it's off sale. And that sale ends, I think, November 5th. And he's looking at me like he knows some details. Go ahead.
I'm impressed by it because, as most know, I have the Millwright Mega V, and that work area is a 35 by 35. The whole machine is a 4 foot by 4 foot. And this is impressive because it'd be nice if I had a nice 4 foot by 4 foot work area. And this Pro is. You can actually get it one of two ways. You can get it a 4 foot by 4 foot or a 4 by 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's actually really, I'm really impressed by the spindle, and especially on like, how do you want to say it? Like, you just said it, like a maker's CNC, not
a
industrial.
Hobbyist.
Yeah, a hobbyist. I haven't seen one with a spindle. You know, you go up in size, you know, the large ones have spindles. I mean, you could always upgrade and whatnot, but coming from the factory with a spindle, that's really, really nice. Price point is high. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it definitely is high.
It's definitely, the spindle's not coolant cooled. It's air.
It is air cooled. But like I said, in the Total CNC solution, it does say, let me read it here. It's 120 volt, 3-year subscription to EZO Pro, crank up production with faster carves and the ability to carve a full 4x8 sheet.
That's I wonder if the bed moves. This is amazing.
I think it does. What I read real quick, and I wish I would have done deeper reading because I didn't plan to bring this up.
Yeah.
But it definitely it's crazy. I think the bed actually lifts up and moves.
All I know is this is incredible. I'm definitely going to look more into it because I'm really curious on that. The bed, to say, how it actually works. So I'm going to have to look up some videos on it or something like that. I'm really glad you went down this rabbit hole because, I'm in the CNC world. You have the laser, the 3D printer. So we're definitely into the gizmos and gadgets that help us out create in our workshop. And I know for myself, that CNC is a big part. That CNC was running today. I actually just got a few more orders that I have the police badge that I got to do. So actually I got to take one, and it's kind of nice because I had to scrunch it down before, and my CNC is going to be able to really shine on that. And as everybody knows, I'm slacking like I always do. I still haven't started that Tools Today flag. Don't tell them.
They don't listen to the podcast or anything.
No one send Tools Today a message, please. No,
it's a total media blackout for Tools Today. For here on out, no one can send anything. It's going to just be dead quiet until he starts his flag.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. Actually, I got to write that down on my little list of things. My not so little, like 4 pages long of things that I have to get accomplished tomorrow, because I have 2 weeks off for the staycation honeymoon. And that's where I get to lounge around until the 18th of October, and then realize, oh my God, I got to go back to work tomorrow. And I did nothing this whole time. So I got to get a lot of stuff done tomorrow. And one of them has to be to get that piece cut for that Tools Today flag, because I got to get that damn thing started. I keep looking at the bits. I look at the wood. I look at everything. And I'm like, why haven't I started this thing? But it's because it's a big project.
Well, don't feel bad, man. I mean, like, I have not been in my shop at all. We'll get to my stuff later, but I have 2 CNC machines, my laser and my 3D printer, that I haven't been producing anything out of, and I could be doing that while I am in the house. So maybe it's the time of year. It just seems like it's gotten really busy this month, and I don't know why.
It definitely is. It definitely is. It gets like this all the time. You go in waves. You've gone in waves as well, with your personal life, with your work, with your wood shop. It's one thing after the next. If one thing's busy, the other stuff isn't. And then you catch up on all that, and then something else comes about. It's life. You know how it is.
I love the board game.
I didn't know where you were going to go with that. And you said board game. I'm like, why is he referring to, oh, yeah, that's right, that board game. I completely forgot.
Oh, man, you got to be a kid sometimes to play a game.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anyway, back up this rabbit hole. So anyway, as you said that you hadn't, been doing really much, as we talked even before this, let's dive into it. What are you working on? Anything?
Nothing as far as the wood shop is concerned. There was a couple projects I was trying to do on the side to try to keep myself in there this week that totally just died. Just essentially really focusing on the family, getting everything up and running before I start pulling away enough to get into the shop and start completing some of the projects that I need to complete. I've been doing 3D printing, but and AJ knows this, but what was it? This last week, I did a Deadpool pen holder. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought I had enough filament for this project, and I slowly realized through the course of the print, I did not. So I started off with the most filament I had on my spindle, and it slowly ran out. So I, ran another and ran another and ran another. So needless to say, I was basically sitting next to my 3D printer waiting for it to almost run out. Put some more filament on, and I literally ended that print with just a piece, maybe a couple inches of the orange that I had. So, went to my favorite store, Amazon, and ordered me some more filament and tried a new filament that I had not tried and ordered some of the stuff I had previously. And I go back and I print myself a cooling fan to go around my nozzle to help alleviate some of the stringing that I've seen occur while I do some prints. Mm. Now, I'm going to get really heavy in the 3D printing side because that's what I've been doing. And I apologize for you that, they don't have one or don't want to hear it, but bear with me here. So I started doing some prints, and the prints are doing fine. And then I have this one particular print where I come back, and essentially the filament is just built up at the top of itself in the actual the hot end. So I'm like, okay, I clean it off, I get it all set again. I remove the part that I printed. I print another one. Everything seems to be fine. And I've been trying to get my 3D printer into such a shape that I could do really fine details and models. So it's a lot of, it's a lot of tuning and, repeating processes, and even develop my skills in the software to get, to that level. And then finding some of these STL files online that I can use for that purpose, because once you get down that road, you'll understand. If you got any questions, go ahead and reach out to me. But back to my story. So today, I got the filament in, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to print some stuff. I noticed that it's not acting right. The bed is level. It has to be level because I leveled it like, exaggerating, but like 10 times. It's still not printing right. It's just something about it is not looking right. So I unplug the machine. I take off the head, and I start looking at it. And what happened is, apparently during one of my prints, the filament actually backed up into the housing where my hot end is, and it was like encased in there. So I ended up cleaning that off. And once I started doing that, I look around, and I had some parts I previously purchased for the 3D printer that I haven't installed because, well, I didn't want to really mess with anything because it was working so good. So I replaced the nozzle. I replaced the actual, forgive me for the term, but the hose to a better hose. I can't remember what it's called right now, but essentially the hose they give you, the diameter inside is a little bit wider than the stuff that I replaced it with, which makes for a better print. And then the extruder, I basically replaced that, everything but the motor. Went through, tuned it back up, and I started printing, and immediately I started getting the perfect results that I've been looking for.
Nice.
And when I say perfect, I mean like a lot better than the mess I was cleaning up in the start of every print. So yeah, I got some fine tuning left, and I still have some things to clean up on, but I have purchased some fine STL files of I Am Pickle Rick. I'm hoping that you know that reference.
Yes, I do.
Yes, we got this one. So I got a Pickle Rick model that I'm going to be trying to print with different arms and stuff. And what else did I buy? If you ever played Mass Effect, I got a Mass Effect file from that and a couple other different things. And I'm just going to really focus on details. And once the printer is set up for details, I could still be printing some of the stuff I do for the shop. Now, I haven't posted yet, but I think I mentioned it on here or in a story at some point in time. But I did a holder for my sander, my DeWalt sander, and I actually installed that the other day, and it's working fine. So it holds it up so it is vertically versus putting on a shelf or anything. So it's kind of like you put it down, and it's like a holster almost.
For the French cleat or just attached to the wall?
Well, you could do either. I put on a French cleat so I could move it and adjust it the way I want it. But the print didn't take that long. I think it was like a 5-hour print. And it has the screw holes already in it and a piece of wood on a French cleat and hung it up. And I'm going to start looking for a little bit more for my tools to do that with, because honestly, it saved me time. It was printing. It's a quick thing. If I haven't mentioned it before, I also did some zero clearance for my miter and my bandsaw, and those have turned out really nice. Yes. Okay. Some of you are like, well, you could do that out of wood. And I totally understand you. And I plan on eventually, but for now, especially for like the bandsaw. So I went ahead and I printed it out. Seems to be working great. I have the adjustment screws in there. And even for the miter saw, I had the tape that you can get from Carter, I believe, where you actually put the tape on there. And it's
the
like
yellow stuff?
Yeah.
Fast cap.
Is it fast cap?
Yeah, because I had it on my old miter saw, and it worked. But the only thing was I didn't like how it bumped it up a tiny. I mean, like so minute, but I didn't like that.
100%. That's why I didn't like it. And actually peeled it off, and I was just dealing with the stock plate that was in there. But yeah, I went ahead and printed that. And even with the defect that I think I showed you, it kind of curled, the print curled in I guess it would be to the back of the saw. It's completely flat in the front where the actual saw of the blade makes contact. And so it still works perfectly fine. So
That's good.
Long story short, I'm printing a lot of stuff with my 3D printer. I had some issues. I figured them out. And, it was a learning curve, but I'm getting smarter when it comes to the printer itself. I'm on the hunt for a CNC machine and or a better laser. That's going to happen this coming year. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with that. I did bring that up with you, and I'm only saying this because my wife has brought it up a couple times. So I'm going to really settle on something I'm going to get and then, save up for it and then probably get it. I definitely want something. The laser would be nice because I've already had a intro into it and I know what I'm doing. A CNC would be a completely different road, but I'm hoping because I've learned so much with the actual laser that it would allow me to kind of gracefully enter the CNC realm. So we'll see. We talk about a lot of things we like to do in the future, and hopefully that'd be something that comes into play here, within 6 months or a year. So
yeah. I mean, even if you still keep the laser, are you you were talking about maybe possibly getting a better one down the road, or a laser attachment for the CNC as well? Because then you can also, like I know mine, you can get a laser that attaches to right on the spindle mount on the DeWalt router, and then you can use that.
So it really depends. If I get a CNC machine, I'll have my laser and I can just utilize that.
Okay.
And then if I wanted to get rid of that for whatever reason, I would buy it for the CNC. I'm either going to go one or the other until it's paid off itself and I can save some more money up to buy a better laser engraver or a CNC machine. So it's whatever happens first. I haven't really settled on it. CNC machines seem to be rampant where I am. It seems every other house has one. And I know they're very useful in the shop. I see what you do with them. I see what, NPGcreations does with them. What Peter from Ptreesworkshop does with basically the woodworking community. And I really would like to have that capability because I could be doing stuff, throw a file in there, throw some wood in there, come inside, have a camera on it, and just create different things on all my CNC machines while I'm inside, helping family out. But, that's, again, a future thing. These tools are not cheap. I don't expect to get everything within a year and be like, a fully functional shop. I'm just grateful for the stuff that, because let's take a quick look at what we got this year, man. We've upgraded our shops. I would almost say tenfold from what we started with when we, began this journey.
Oh yeah. I definitely know a few tools off the bat that I had gotten to help upgrade everything. Just to name a few, table saw is a big upgrade. I'm pretty sure that this was early, I believe, this year. CNC was a huge one. 3D printer. I haven't printed anything huge because I can't. I'm limited to, I think, like maybe an 8 or 9 inch circle. That's the print area. So down the road, I was at work the other day and I had my mouse on the button to hit order on a Prusa printer. And we're going through a little bit of a tough time at our job. So a little pay cut. So right now is not the time. I'm just going to utilize the printer I have. It works fine. It's just the simple fact of I'm limited to the space and I want a bigger bed. So, I'll use this printer until I can't anymore. Yes, sir. You, sir, in the back.
No, me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Have you looked at any kind of bed extensions? Because I know for at least my printer, there are, ways to increase the bed size. Like I can dramatically increase the bed size in height and in width. So, there might be something out there for you.
With yours, you could. I'm going to try to explain or describing my printer. It has 3 arms that move up and down, and it has 2 rods per arm that are magnetic. And so they go from the arm through, the rod goes from the arm to the head, the print head. And what happens is as the arms move up and down, it moves the print head side to side, front to back. The only way you could increase is if they had something where you can you'd pretty much need a whole new printer, because you would need to disassemble this one, use the arms on a larger top and bottom piece, and that's the only way you would get a larger print area. Yours, you have a movable bed that moves forward and back, so you'd be able to, extend it lengthwise. But this one, I'm stuck. There's no extensions. There's no nothing for it. I believe they are going to stop supporting this printer soon. So I'm kind of stuck. Yeah, because they came out with a new one. So, So at some point, it's still working. I have some extra parts that I picked up. So I got some new print nozzles, a few odds and ends that I knew would break eventually. And it's funny, you were talking about the filament. I've had issues with my filament because of where the filament sits. It has this little protective tube, like you were talking about, that it goes through, and where their gearing is, your gearing's in the head, correct?
No, it's the way mine is set up is the extruder is off to one of the side posts, and the spindle actually is above the actual printer. Now, when I first got it, I did a lot of research, and one of the issues was that no one liked it on top. For some reason, the angle of the filament coming down to one of the side rails going into the extruder, and then it goes through that little tubing into the actual the hot end, was causing issues. So you can print a very simple modification, which I did, and now it's off to the side. So it's like a direct feed right into my extruder and then into my hot end, which is 6 inches away.
Yeah, the way that this filament used to sit, it actually sat, instead of having the spool upright, it actually sat on its side. So, and it laid in the very top of this printer. Excuse me. And it would feed through the gearing, go down another tube to the print head. Well, what would happen is if you had it laying on its side, it wouldn't feed correctly. So my pops, who had this printer prior, bought this little spool holder. Well, when it's on top of it, it has this little plastic tube that goes to the gearing. Well, the plastic tube isn't held by anything. And as it tries to feed the filament in, it kind of gets stuck. So I had to come up with a little workaround, and the simplest fix was with a tie band. I used the tie band, held down that tubing, and I haven't had any issues because it would think it ran out. I guess because it couldn't pull it through. It would kind of it would back feed a little bit, try pulling it through, back feed, pull it through, and it never got more to the print head, so it would stop, say filament, ran out. And I had that quite a bit. So once I did this little stupid fix, it's been running fine. But you were talking about filament running out. Man, that is, you can look at a spool, you can see the print in your head. You can go, that spool is going to last. And 5 minutes later, that spool is gone. And it's surprising because, a spool lasted me quite some time, and I had a lot left on a print. And I looked at the spool and I went, I have plenty. I know I mentioned this, I think, last episode, but man, you turn around a second later, that spool's gone. And now luckily with the one I have, it knows when the filament's not there. So when you were talking about that, you missed 30 steps on one of your prints. You were messaging me. I couldn't even imagine that because, you spent a lot of time on a certain print, and now for it to, go off 30 steps, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time or whatnot, but for that Deadpool print, I was doing it with my red filament, and I came back, and what AJ's referring to is it was just basically, it ran out of filament, and it was just going and doing its thing with no filament coming out. And it was about a, eighth of an inch above it, just, going in the wind. And I'm like, well, that I can't do anything. There's no way to go back to where it was and fix this. So I had to do it over. Now, if that didn't happen or I caught it, I probably would have been fine with the black filament and the red filament and called it a day. But because that misprint, and there's a lot of learning. When I first got filament for this, I got a halfway decent filament suggested by a friend, and then I got really cheap stuff. And I've gone through that, but I mean, I've learned a lot because I knew that I'd be going through it because I go hog wild for a while trying to learn whatever machine I got. Same thing with my, not my CNC, but my laser. I spent like a month and a half trying to figure that thing out, you know, the ins and outs. And then I bought a new program and all of a sudden all my issues went away. But, yeah, it's a journey with any of these machines. You're learning a lot. And, you know, I've done a lot of upgrades to mine, but I'm still within the price range. I'm comfortable for what I bought it for. So, enough about some of those 3D printers and that nonsense. Let's talk about the question that we got in. Do you want to go ahead and read that off?
Yeah, let me, I just got to pull it up on my...
Not that I'm putting you on the spot or anything and I'm stalling, but...
No, it's okay. So we got a question sent in by Trails Custom Woodworks on Instagram, and his question for today, usually he sends in a recording, but it was a last-minute question, so I'm going to read it off for you guys. His question is... Wow, I lost my train of thought on this one. For many of you guys that don't know, I recently had some lumber milled from my own property. What would be the quickest and cheapest way to... I just read it. He wrote fry lumber. Well, I don't know what size fryer you would need, but you would have to get an industrial size. Anyway, how would you dry...
a lot of oil.
A lot. And wouldn't that go again? Like, would a fryer actually dry the wood?
I can't imagine it'd be good for the wood. That grain would just...
Anyway, enough joking around. So he had some lumber recently milled on his property. He wants to know the quickest and cheapest way to dry lumber. Would you make a homemade kiln with a dehumidifier or put it under a tarp out back and let it air dry? Well, in a perfect world, we'd all have a kiln and we could throw it in there, or you could put it under a tarp and let it air dry. Now, there are two reasons that, well, no, there are multiple reasons I would go air dry versus kiln dried, because especially if it's walnut, and I don't know if you've seen it yourself, walnut is gorgeous air dried. It takes on a completely different color. The grain is a little bit different, but you have these purples that come through, like these hints of a green. I had a piece that was air dried, and I'm looking at it going like, I didn't realize it at first because I bought this piece when I was very green into this. And when I looked at it now, I'm going like, hey, I remember somebody talking about air dried walnut compared to kiln dried. And this had all those characteristics, and it was gorgeous. So in my personal opinion, if I had a bunch of walnut, I would let it air dry because of the characteristics. Now, if I had a friend or a buddy I knew, I could drop it off to a kiln and kiln dry it. I don't have a kiln. Josh wants me to have one. I don't think the town would allow it, but what do I know?
Not for any personal reasons or anything, but you know.
Jesus. Who's going to fund this?
I would, if you would allow me to use it, I would definitely help you. And it would definitely, a solar kiln versus a normal. So it would be a pole on power. It would be essentially use the sun.
Well, God bless you.
God bless America.
Anyway, so I would go air dried, especially if you don't have a time frame. If you have it and you can just, let it sit air dry, who knows, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, forget about it. Come back about 10 years later and then remember, oh crap, I have a bunch of wood that's still air drying. I mean, if you got time, let it air dry. If you're in a time crunch, I don't know how. Do you know how much it takes to kiln dry? Like roughly.
Roughly the time, it depends on the size of the piece, how wet it is, but it could take a good sized piece 30 days or so, maybe.
Okay, so I mean, within a month, you'd have a piece versus a year.
And that's not from experience. That is from, what I've been told. And it was from a friend of a friend's kiln. So don't, take that for the, grain of salt. But so you're going to go with tarp, huh?
Yeah, except I have a real bad fear of spiders. So then I know that the wood would just get encased in spiders, and then I probably would never touch it.
Yeah, just wear some gloves and bring a torch. That's what I do.
I would probably cry and run away and scream like a little girl. And yep.
And it's going to be Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to send you a bag of spiders in the mail and see how this works out.
What kind of transition was that?
Well, spiders, Halloween. I mean, like, just. I have kids, so it's.
Aye.
Anyway, okay, so.
What kind of candy you got for Halloween? Anything good? Can I come by?
I don't have any candy. I might have some baked apples or something. I don't know.
Baked apples?
We actually haven't thought that far, to be honest. We're just now getting roughly more than 3 hours of sleep per feeding, so it's been fun. Anyway,
this show is going to be called like. I'm thinking of like names for this episode. I mean, it's just like the whatever we talk about episode, because CNC, 3D print, we're into kiln drying, how to fry your wood, Halloween candy. I couldn't even think of what you just said.
Oh, baby feeding every 3 hours. Yep.
The no sleep show.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when you have two guys that just love talking about woodworking, and you basically shop stuff and haven't been able to get in the shop. So now we're just spitballing. So, okay. So my take on your question there, my man, is, okay, it depends on what you plan on doing. Knowing you as well as I believe I do, I would go ahead and build myself, if I had the room for it in the property, a kiln with a dehumidifier, the whole 9 yards, because that will pay back in the long run, especially if you have property that you can actually take boards from, because then you can sell some kiln dried boards, or even source out, people that need to have boards dried. Now you have a source of income that is basically, you put it in there, you monitor it, and then you make money off it. But again, with power and all that, that's something you're going to have to figure out. Now, if that's not an option for you and you're worried about power and the price that, running a constant dehumidifier and all that will, run you, there are plans for free on the internet. I know because I sent them to AJ. A solar power kiln that basically, you find a place on your property that gives off or will, have a lot of sun, and basically, it takes longer, but you'll have the sun working in your favor to dry the pieces that you want. So those are my first two answers. If you can't do either one and you're stuck with putting it under a tarp, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, AJ, you dry, most of the stuff you get is dry, but the stuff I get,
everything I dry. I mean, everything I get is dry.
The stuff I get is partially dry because it's sat there long enough. I'm drying most of it in my garage. I have it spaced. I have it sitting on its end, and it's just, I measure it, make sure it's good to use. If it's not, I move on to the piece, or, I'll source out a kiln drying piece. But I want to circle back a little bit to what you were talking about with a walnut. Now, I don't remember if your mallet shows it, but the piece that I cut off of that does have, it was air dried, and it does have that purple, coloring, some of the green in it. And we talk about walnut a lot, and it is honestly one of the most versatile, best working wood I've dealt with. And I challenge anyone out there that's listening to go ahead and message me, and AJ, and tell us what your favorite wood to work with is and why. And I'm curious if you could beat our reasons for loving walnut as much as we do. Now, I am speaking for AJ a little bit, and I know he has a special place in his heart for some spalted maple. But
why do you have to remind me? I'm trying to forget about how much, we talked about it last week. The desk that I want to build, that's going to be a thorn in my side because I have tons of other projects to do. You kind of lead me towards to do cherry for the legs. One, I still have not drawn up the legs because I tried and they looked like crap, so I couldn't use those. I couldn't even send them to you because I literally drew it and I'm going, it's not even semi-proportioned. So once I get those drawn up, it'll be better. But you swayed me. I can't say the right word. Skewed, swayed, this, that, the other thing, yada, yada, yada. You made me go down the route of using cherry because of the how much variety there is going to be in this desk. I'm going to have the mulberry, I'm going to have the white oak, I'm going to have the black pipe holding up the shelves, and then I was going to do spalted maple legs. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Your eyes are going to be darting all over the place trying to see what different types of wood, what's going on here, there, and everywhere. I don't have enough cherry. I thought I did, and I have a whole bunch of spalted maple. And I just picked up the rest of it this weekend from the local gentleman that I have he's probably maybe like 25 minutes away from me. His name is Bob. His Instagram is Cascadecreations, and he is located in Warwick, New York. And so if you're local, somewhere around there, message him. And he's always got slabs on hand. He's got rough sawn lumber. I picked up some sycamore. I've never worked with it, and it is figured like crazy. It's amazing. And he knows the ways to cut the wood. He was explaining it to me that you have to quarter saw the sycamore because of how wonky it'll get. And I kept it in my garage for, I want to say, at least 6 months so far or so. And it hasn't bowed, it hasn't cupped, nothing on me. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet. But anyway, the spalted maple I have tons of. Mm-hmm. Your mallet that you made me, I don't know, you must have realized, has spalting.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I set it up in such a way that it would be on top and, shown.
Yeah. When I took it out of the box, the first thing I noticed besides everything else was the spalting. I was... because I'm so used to hearing about spalted maple, spalted. There's a few other ones that I've seen. Spalted poplar I've seen. But I've never seen anything in the walnut family of spalted. And it was a shocker to me and a real eye catcher. And I hung that thing proudly on my French cleat wall. I don't know if you saw it.
I did. It looks really good up there. I still have a chunk of that same slab that I've been eyeing and I'm wondering what I'm going to do with. And it's just such a beautiful piece of wood. I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't know if I want to make a mallet of it. I don't know if I want to make a box out of it or just, I don't know. I'm going to leave it there and just kind of stare at it for a while and eventually come up with something. But it's one of those things where, we've definitely progressed. I mean, but we have definitely took a turn. I mean, like in the beginning, we still kind of work with some pine, but we're definitely taking the turn that we wanted into working with more hardwood. And it's nice. I mean, like it's better on the tools. It's better, just working with. It doesn't fall apart. It's just tools so much better. But you can definitely see the progression with us. I mean, with the show, with, our lives, everything. We started off, we're learning. We're still learning. I don't think we'll ever stop. But what I'm trying to get at here, and very poorly, I might add, is that it's okay to start off with cheaper wood and work with it. Once you get more competent, once you get more confidence in what you do, you start getting better wood because you know that you can actually work with that and create something beautiful. The only problem I have is I like having it in my garage and not actually using it. I just like keep getting it. I might as well just get a lumber yard and call it a day.
You know, I looked at Kim after I got almost all the boards because I had to resituate. I have 3 lumber racks because, of course, I don't have high ceilings. I want, I wish I had, 10-foot ceilings. I could put lumber all the way to the ceiling. Well, I only have 7-foot ceilings. I got 3 racks that are 3 levels each. So I had to redo them to fit all this new wood on there. And I looked at Kim, I go, why do I keep buying more wood? It seems like I just keep buying it and I don't use any of it. But as soon as I go somewhere that has wood, I don't know what comes over me. I become like this professional in my head and I go like, I can make a huge desk out of that. What? I've been making flags. I'm like, I don't even have a shop set up so I can do any of this stuff. Now I got to plane it, join it, get it resawed. Now I got to learn how to do all of this. Meanwhile, I bought the wood and now it's staring at me, taunting me like that French cleat wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has what we call in the profession a wood addiction.
A wood and tool addiction. This is that's what that's what the name of this show should have been. Welcome to the Wood and Tool Addiction, hosted by Josh.
And AJ. Why did we say each other's name?
I don't know, but I think.
Oh, this is getting weird.
Well, I'm really sorry. We've been going on a tangent, on a rabbit hole to the next rabbit hole to another rabbit hole. It is all over the place. I'm tired. Josh is tired. Actually, his eyes are closed right now.
Oh, what are we
They're
doing?
not even.
Honestly, if you've been listening, and this is the 15th episode, if you've been listening to us the entire time, you should expect that there's going to be an episode or two that we just go down rabbit holes and forget what we really wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is. This is just 2 guys talking shop. We say the blue collar woodworkers, whatever, because that's what we are. We have normal lives. We love doing the woodworking and creating and the making. And, that all started somehow. So we kind of want to hit on what inspired us, what we think a maker / creator is. And we've done some episodes that kind of done what is woodworking, what is this, and CNC machines and stuff like that. This is a little different. This goes a little deeper than that. What inspires us to create? Because if it's CNC machines, as far as laser engraver, 3D printer, a wood CNC, if it's flags, if it's furniture, we're always creating something. If you create anything with your hands, our hands are our greatest tool, our minds and hands and our hearts. It's going to get touchy-feely, so strap in because we're going to go down this lane. So, AJ, what inspired you to become a maker? What do you think makers defined as, what creators defined as? These are things that I'm asking you because this last week, I've been working with another maker, and they're going to be making me something. And I had to really dig deep to try to tell them some inspirational stuff, but some things that, are okay to feel while making stuff. If that don't make sense, let me kind of clarify that. So when I first started my first piece for someone else, I didn't understand why they came to me to make that piece. At that point in time, I was not North Country Woodworking. I was Josh, the guy in the garage doing a whole bunch of stuff for no reason. It didn't make sense to me, why I don't have the ability to create the piece they want me to. I had to go past that, I had people continuously coming to me after that, and I had to build my confidence up piece by piece, the way I price things piece by piece. Sharing that kind of led to this question, and I'm curious, AJ, what your take is on these. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you the mic. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, I've always loved to work with my hands. From when I was little, I'd help my father any which way I could. Always working outside with him. And then when I was older, I think I was 16, and I was allowed to work in my parents did not own a shop of their own, but my father's been there for 40 some odd years at this point. So, he's up there. So anyway, I was able to go into the shop, get my hands dirty against my mom's wishes. She wanted me to become a chiropractor, and I did not go that way. So I knew from an early age, even back in high school, when my guidance counselors would actually pull my parents in and go, "Do you know your son does not want to go to college?" I knew I was dead set on not going to college. I wanted to go to trade school, and that's how I went. And they backed me 100%. And I've fallen in love with working with my hands. It gets your creative mind going. Especially I'm a diesel refrigeration mechanic by trade. I am the service manager, so I don't get my hand as dirty now as I did, but I have to every once in a while, even if I'm not in my shop, downstairs, and if I'm at my job, I have to do something to get my creative mind going because I like fixing stuff. And that's what kind of keeps me going and keeps me inspired is I get to take something that's broken and get it running again, operating the way it should. And, to see I like to know how things work. So I like taking stuff apart and then remembering how to put it all together just by, muscle memory. And it's pretty cool doing that because then you can take something and watch it, come to life. Same thing goes for this shop. The big thing that really kept me going was I think it was like, I lose track of my time, but I'm going to get into it. I believe it's been almost 3 years, probably 2 3/4, whatnot. But I had a long, troublesome time with an addiction of mine. So, over 2.5 years ago, I got sober. And the one thing that really helped me was working with my hands. I remember I was trying to get everything and anything I could to keep my mind busy so that I didn't, think about anything else. And that's really what made it, even stronger in my heart because one, it helped me get through real tough times of my life and helped me overcome something that's, not so easy. It's even going downstairs now, it just brings me back to, I'm in a really good spot. I'm doing amazing things. Even though I'm making flags, it's still amazing to me. I wasn't making flags 2.5 years ago. I wasn't doing anything like this back then. I was, running myself into the ground and, I pulled myself up because I can work with my hands. And once I really put my mind to it, the creative side came out. And as I saw more and more progression from it, I did bigger and better things because I got sober. So, to bring it into, not so deep down, but that was my biggest thing. I needed to keep myself busy to remain on this amazing path that I'm on today. And as I sit here today, if I rethink where I would have been, I probably would not. I would never know you, Josh. I wouldn't know anybody in this community. I wouldn't know what woodworking was because, I would probably not be here. So I'm blessed to have found the woodworking community throughout my sobriety, and I'm blessed to have people like you, Josh. I'm blessed to have people, the listeners, supporting us by doing, by just interacting with us. Anything they do, comments, likes, follows, a simple message. It's awesome being in this, and I'm glad that I'm here. And oh Jesus, I almost knocked everything over. But a maker to me is somebody, who works with their hands, has a creative mind, can pretty much look at something and go, I can make something out of that. When I moved into this house, we touched on it in Meet the Makers, the very first episode. But, when I moved into this house back in late 2018, early 2019, I didn't know woodworking was, but I had a garage. So I said, screw it. Let me just, start getting a table saw. Let me get a miter saw. Let me do this. And one thing led to the next. And that's where I am today. I have pretty much a full-blown shop. I have a CNC machine, a 3D printer, and I'm doing what I really, really enjoy. It's awesome being in this community. The one thing that I do want to say is a buddy of mine who lives 5 minutes down the road from me, I work with him. If you want to talk about creative minds, this kid, he built, I think, 2 cars from the ground up. He built 3 motorcycles from the ground up. And he can literally look at a piece of, he's a welder. He loves metalwork. He could look at a pile of scrap and go, I can make something out of that. And he will. He will make something out of that. To me is a creative mind at its best, because the stuff he comes up with, you're going like, how did you even think of something like that? I mean, you and I can come up with stuff, but the way he like tweaks it, makes it, and comes up with something so out of this world unique is incredible. But he's definitely a really cool kid. Definitely helped me throughout this whole time as well. And so I went down a real long path. But yeah, that's what a maker is to me. Being creative, being a maker, any kind of maker, welding, woodworking, anything you build with your hands, you're a maker. Anything you come up with, you're a creator. I think that I hit it on the head with that, and we're not going to go to you. It's okay. So that was the end of this episode. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
So what's a maker to you?
So, man, first of all, I'm thankful as well. Like it's been a different ride, especially being in Jersey, and finding this community, finding you, doing this. It's a blessing. It's really helped me in different ways. But what inspired me? What is a maker? So long story short, I love these long stories. Is in high school, I actually went to a half day of vocational school, and that was, what was it? I can't remember the name. It's been so long. But essentially what it did is teach you some of design, graphic design, animation, stuff like that, computer skills and art at the same time. So photography, everything. So in my mind, my life was going to follow a path of, art. I joined the military pretty much right after high school, and a lot of that dropped away. And I always tried to find a way to get back to that, because I've always liked creating something, drawing something. And it's been incredibly hard, because when you start learning a skill that's so far away from a passion that you had as a child, it's hard to find something to logically go back to, because I was an aircraft maintainer, and later on I became a flight engineer on multiple different airframes, still am. And when I started woodworking and finding this community, I found a place of inspiration, of help, of knowledge, of wisdom, and just great people. And we've said this a bunch of times, and you might be tired of hearing it, but this is how we feel. This is 100% why we do what we do. I mean, like, it is truly an amazing place to be and surround yourself with good people, which you should always do. That's why you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am in the United States Air Force as a flight engineer, and that's why you hear a whole bunch of planes in the background, is because I live on Air Force Base, and that's why I'm in Jersey. So it's by happen chance that I actually met AJ. I've done the stuff I'm doing because it's all in my spare time. But what inspires me, I love creating. I love taking something from nothing and making something with it. And for me, it was a pencil when I first started out. And then it was a paintbrush. And then it was a camera. I went down a whole lot of different paths, including computer animation, graphic design. And it always interests me, and I always loved doing it. But when I hit on woodworking, it's felt like a Lego piece that went into place, and it fit perfectly for me, because it hit my logical side, the side that needs to plan everything out. Everything needs to fit a certain way. It fit the design side because I can actually design anything I want and create it. It fit the creative side because, again, it's following the same line as that design side. And then a community to back you up and even say, this is not going to work. This will work. You just have to do it this way, or this is a way to do it, but you can figure out a way that might work better. That is what a maker creator is to me, and how I've always been inspired, because that has been a big part of my life that I was, searching for. I keep coming across a quote online by Louis Neisser, and what it says is, a man who works with his hands is a laborer. A man who works with his hands and his brain is a craftsman. But a man who works with his hands, his brain, and his heart is an artist. And I would consider anyone working as a maker or a creator to be an artist, because you have to have skill in all three to create some of the things that we do. It being a flag, a piece of furniture, or a cutting board, you're putting everything you have into that, because this stuff is not easy. And if you're listening to this, you know that. We thank you for listening. We thank you for being a part of the Sawdust Nation. We thank you for, giving us questions, giving those reviews, keeping us going, contacting us. I have created so many, good friends on a platform I didn't even know existed a couple of years ago. We kind of took a turn from rabbit holes to a very serious topic in a lot of different ways, at least for us. That's what being a maker is. If you're not being inspired by someone, you're inspiring someone, and you might not even know it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely touch on that. It's hard without repeating myself, but you said it the best. You're inspiring someone, someone's inspiring you, and it's cliche to say, but I don't really care, to be honest. We're all part of this community. It's a great group of people, men, women, younger adults, even some kids. They're all doing it. Yeah.
There's some amazing kids out there making stuff
very
that, by far surpasses what I've ever done.
And, it's great to see that and really see the passion that they have for it. And, it's pretty cool to see somebody very young doing this, because now if we continue to do it, we get to watch them as they go through this whole journey. And, it is a journey. We are a community. We are all part of this. And I would have never met some of these people that I talked to a couple people, because on my personal Instagram, I talked to Pete once before from Ptreesworkshop. I talked to Lucas over at Mannmadeinma. Two great, knowledgeable guys who helped me out on, way before I even started this woodworking stuff. And even now, it's still great to even meet people, and reconnect with people who I talked to previously. And they're all part of this community that we're all in this. Like I said, I know I'm going to repeat myself. I'm probably getting all mushy and whatnot, but you know what? That's who we are. We're real guys talking real. This is who we are. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world, because I know for myself, and I can guarantee I could speak for you, we're in good spots right this second. If we step back from both our shops and looked at it, they surpass some other people's, that. Mm-hmm. And it's not to gloat. It's not to say, well, I got more than this. It's because of this whole thing. We followed a passion of ours, and we wanted to continue with it. I know for me, I would have never have entertained, getting a new table saw. I would have never entertained getting a new miter saw if I didn't want this to grow into something else. I want this to be full time. I love my job where I'm at. I've been at my job for 15 years. I love it. But the thing is, if I could be home doing what I really enjoy doing, spending time, with my family, spending time doing stuff that I enjoy, why not? And then I don't even have to drive an hour down to work, and then like an hour and a half home. That'd be nice. You know, but it's the truth. We want to stay in this, we're going to stay in this community. We're going to be, we're going to try to inspire somebody. I know I get inspired by a lot of people on a daily basis. And that's what keeps me going. I don't want to rant too much, but every time I look at Instagram, I'm constantly scrolling past, some people and liking their stuff because it's really something that I truly want to do. I want to make something, like they did. Cutting boards is one thing. I only made one cutting board so far, and I keep seeing a ton of them that are just simple designs, and I keep liking it, and that inspires me to go out there and make something like that. Big projects like this desk, I was inspired by somebody else on Instagram, and, I reached out to them and they were willing to help me out in, designing it, and how they tooled it. So, enough of my rant. I'm just really happy to be part of this.
I think you hit on something that's important. And we talked about this previously too, is that you might not have the confidence to complete a project. Say it's your first cutting board. Say it's something more complicated. But Instagram is one of those unique places. I don't know of any other places like this, but where you can reach out to hundreds of people that have made that item and ask. And when you ask, you're not met with, anything but how can I help you? How can I answer your question? And do you need anything else? Because we're here if you need it. And that alone allows people to go past what they're comfortable with and create. And that truly is what I think is special about the community and why we love doing this podcast.
So I think we're going to wrap this one up. I'm definitely going to look at that CNC real quick. I know I'm going to probably start something else and then we're going to go on another hour. But that new X-Carve that you were talking about, it says it can cut 4 foot wide and infinite length.
Yes.
So,
well, they advertise on the site that it's 4x4 and then you can do 4x8. But if it's set up in such a way you can do 4x8, it makes sense that you can do infinite length. And if you have a CNC machine that is basically cut in half and a 4x8 bed that could do continuous length like that,
that's cool.
That is absolutely worth investing in some fashion because that takes your workspace from a 4x8, surface to a 4x4, which is obviously smaller, and allowing you to still create something out of 4x8.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll definitely get more info on that. I'm really curious about it. And then maybe next week we'll have some more updates on it. But yeah, this has been the 15th episode of Sawdust Nation. We got a little bit, we hit on some sensitive topics today, and, I'm really glad that I got to share. I'm really, happy that I got to hear about, yours, how you became a maker, what keeps you going. And, if you feel inspired and you want to tell us how you became a maker or a creator, send us a DM. Josh over at North Country. You can also send a DM to myself, AJ over at Crafted in New Jersey, or you can even send it to the podcast's Instagram at Sawdust Nation Podcast on Instagram. We also have an email, sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, comments, you want to tell us about this maker creator, what you think it is, send it our way, send it into a voice recording, or you can even type it out and we'll read it on the next episode of Sawdust Nation. Any final words?
Yes, if you get a minute and you're on Apple Podcasts or Apple at all, go ahead and give us a review. The reviews help us get ranked, and which means more listeners get to listen because it's going to be highlighted a little bit more. That all helps us out, and we highly appreciate it. We're really looking forward to seeing your responses about, what inspired you as a maker creator, why you continue to make and create. Well, I think that's it, my friend. So
we're signing off as they're flying off.
Yep.
All right.
So as they fly off, I'm going to say see ya.
See ya.
If you have a wood addiction, please contact the Wood Addiction Hotline at 1-800-WOOD-ADDICTION. We will help you and help your family get past this. Please reach out to us as soon as possible. The earlier we catch it, the sooner we can help you. Have a good night.
Send your wood to Josh's DM. I'm out.
And out. Done.